Now, were any of you even for a second in doubt that we had that game in the bag? I mean, I felt like we kind of maybe felt bad for them, let them come on down after they almost beat Louisville, or no, it wasn't Louisville, Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt was who it was. They almost beat, but then we let them come in just a little bit, let them think, and once again. Yeah, we just flexed at the end, did what we were supposed to do, walked away. God damn, I'm 100 years older. What the hell's going on?
You know, I want to start this off by saying we went to Chili's before the game, and I had 8 beers tonight. That ain't enough after what the hell the Canes just put me through. Golly, shit, what a game!
yeah, it was absolutely that was hard to watch. What do you think, Slim?
Well, I actually got a little lucky. I only had to watch half the game because today was we were doing my kid's birthday party today, and of course, my wife, in her infinite wisdom, decides to plan it on the one Friday night game that we have. Um, but hell of a second half. I got to get on that. I watched pretty much all of the second half. Um, and hey, Virginia Tech. Hey, now you know what it's like to be a Miami fan. Now you know what it's like.
Yeah, I need the Nelson, like the Nelson from The Simpsons, right there. You know, going off on there. Oh my God, that was awesome.
I mean,
now, Alex, what was it like? What was it like at the game?
There were points where that place was dead silent because we just couldn't believe what we were seeing, and the only sound coming from the crowd was the Virginia Tech fans with that "Let's go Hokies," which I gotta say, you need to get a better chant. That is so lame. That is the lamest chant. Oh my God. But yeah, and then there were other points where it was just, obviously you heard it at the end of the game when they called that incomplete pass. That place just erupted. Coming out of the stadium was great. Everyone was hugging strangers, high-fiving all over the place, chanting. I mean, we escaped with a win, but in the ACC, a win is a win because this conference is probably the most chaotic in college football, and it has been for the last 20 years.
Okay, let's just go ahead and start off with that elephant. Should it have been overturned on replay? Yes, and here's why. Because it never should have been called a catch.
Yeah, I wonder.
None of the refs saw that it was a catch, and the replay showed actually nobody came down with possession of that ball.
It's like it was one dumbass ref that just threw his hands up and called a touchdown, just like there was that one dumbass ref on the O.J. Frederick pass interference that he's 40 yards behind the play, and there's two refs right in front of the pass.
That was pass interference.
No, it was
that was
not.
Pass interference.
That guy was he was diving for the football. He was diving for
He grabbed his jersey. He's got white gloves that makes it hard to see. That's intentional. That was pass interference.
Now he did play into it. I don't know. I mean, that's one of those ones. I mean, the guy did kind of throw himself back at that point.
Sure, he made it look worse than what it was.
Yeah.
But by the letter of the law, yes, that was pass interference. But we'll get to that in a minute. Because I've seen a lot on Twitter about the phantom holding call, and I agree, but there was also a bullshit holding call against us in that game that took a touchdown off the board. That was just a good block, so I just tit for tat on that.
I was going to ask about that, because we were going to go up 21-7, and then it gets called back for a holding, and immediately I see my phone blowing up. Oh, that's not a holding. That's not a holding. In what universe is that a holding? Again, I'm in the stadium, and they don't show stuff like that on the Jumbotron. Was that a holding or was it not?
No, it wasn't a hold. It was a good block. But the same thing also applies when it was a good block when they called the holding on Virginia Tech that took away a chunk play. So I mean,
No,
that's
that took
just
away a
tit for
touchdown.
tat as far as I'm. No. When it got called on, when it got called on Miami, or excuse me, on Virginia Tech, when it wasn't. So, like I said, that to me, that's tit for tat. That's one going either way. That's a wash, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you know what else I think is a wash is the similar to the play at the end was the play at the beginning. You know, that almost looked like his arm was going forward, but the ball was being bobbled around. Now,
No, that
there
was
at
a
the
fumble
end,
though.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just saying that could have been called differently or blah blah blah, the same kind of thing on the field and looked at differently in the replay. But I'll call that a tit for tat too. How about that, Virginia Tech fans?
yeah. I mean, because once again, I was at my kid's birthday party, so I was catching plays sporadically. But ESPN shows when you pull up the Miami Virginia Tech game on the app, it shows clips of some highlight plays, and it's shown that one, and they only showed one view of that. Um, and it looked like from that view, it just looked like his arm was going forward and it came out. But I've heard some other people say other views gave you better looks. Yeah,
That was
okay,
a
fine.
dumb play. It was a dumb play by Cam Ward. I mean, that was
Yeah,
just, he should have brought the ball
I
in,
mean,
taken the sack, and just moved on.
I
And
mean, he had a
yeah.
similar play later on where he just pitched that
yeah,
that ball to
right.
Riley Williams and he took it to the 2 yard line.
Yeah.
So
The last 7-8 minutes of that game, maybe not. I don't even know. It all blurs together at this point. I mean, like I said, I think I aged 25 years. I was sitting there like biting. I think my brother's sitting next to me. He doesn't really know a lot about football, so I'm having to explain everything to him. And I'm just like, oh my god, that was insane. That was all right. Now maybe I'm being a little bit biased, but what game have you watched yet this year that came down to the end that was that exciting? Maybe I'm being biased.
There hasn't been one. Absolutely.
That has to be the game of the year so far. And big shout out. I know I like to tease and do that, but big shout out to Virginia Tech. They showed up to play and they played a really good game. And that quarterback, what was his name? Drones.
Yeah.
He was making circus throws and doing the whole thing. I mean, that guy played a hell of a game. That was fun to watch.
And also, they threw a bunch of stuff out there because, I always try to catch as many of our opponents' games as I can. So I caught a bunch of the earlier Virginia Tech games. Where did all that motion come from? Because they were not doing that before. They brought out a lot of new stuff for this game. And we were saying it after last week. We are going to be a lot of teams Super Bowl because of how the media is hyping us up and all the hype behind us. And they're going to pull out every stop to try and knock us off.
Yeah, well.
Didn't work tonight, but, hey.
No, it didn't.
And listen, the reason I say Virginia Tech knows what it feels like to be a Miami fan, because we got hosed on 3 replay calls last year. Obviously, everybody knows the whole Georgia Tech thing. It was not a fumble. But we also had 2 safeties reviewed by the replay booth that they said were not safety. So that's karma. Hate it for you. Karma's indiscriminate.
You know what wasn't karma and was just pure skill and will of God? That Xavier Restrepo 4th down catch where he's just sitting on his ass.
Where his feet came out from under him and he fell and he still caught it like a yard past the first down marker. Yeah, that was amazing. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I never. The season's long. I don't pick Heisman winners. That shovel pass to Riley Williams for the go-ahead touchdown, that's a Heisman moment.
Mm-hmm.
That plays like that, when you've already shaken off one defender, you've got another one that has you wrapped up, and you get the ball out to your tight end to make a play. That's the kind of shit that wins you Heisman.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
a lot of the good things overweigh the bad things at the end. a win and the fantastic plays. Cam Ward's interception might be shown on a highlight reel once, but that play of him wiggling around and coming out of nowhere and fighting it up and then just throwing it out, to shit, what's his face over there on the line? And him, yeah, I mean, turning a play out of nothing. That's going to go on highlight reels. So.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not saying he's going to win the Heisman, and frankly, I don't really care if he does or not.
No, me neither.
Because I mean, if you just look at the history of it, 2 Heisman-winning quarterbacks have ever won a Super Bowl. So screw that award, as far as I'm concerned.
No, I'm not that worried about that either. But y'all talk about the Heisman. So, that game, it was a nail biter.
It was, but like I said, I mean, for all the supposed controversy, and Daniel has my thoughts exactly, and I'm going to berate the defenders for this. Just smack the ball, act like you're in a volleyball game, and just slap the ever-loving hell out of it.
Yeah, you got to be a little bit careful there just to make sure you don't get that pass interference call. I mean, I think they actually played it pretty well. I don't agree when they came in and called that a touchdown, like way later after the play. How would anybody know what was going on there?